Live. What's up, everybody? Let's talk real quick. Um, how did I do that? Man, listen. I was talking to somebody about dating, and I said to myself, "This is content." So I didn't want to give all my content out. So we are going to talk about dating. Before you say "I do," I need y'all to do me a favor. Share this video. Um, we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, so I'm not going to take long, but I got some points that I want to kind of get out really quick um, in regards to dating. So, listen, share this video for me. Share this video, like the video. Yeah, let's get into this. All right. Let's get into this real quick. Like the video. I'm waiting for a few more people to jump on. We're going to talk about dating. Before you say "I do," let's chat. Let's chat. Let's chat. Before you say "I do," we're going to talk about dating, man. Listen, share this video. I really think that this will help help some of you. Before you say "I do," we're going to talk about dating. Let's jump on really quick. Look, you know anybody that's thinking about getting married? You know anybody dating or thinking about dating? You yourself thinking about getting in the dating game, marriage game? Share this video really quick. We're going to start in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds, and we starting. 30 seconds, and we are starting. We are starting. So many of you know I pastor and I counsel people. I do premarital counseling. I do a lot of postmarital counseling. I married about. I performed about 20 weddings in my career. About 20 weddings so far, give or take a few. May have been more, to be honest. And majority of the people that I marry, we do what you call premarital counseling. We do a lot of counseling before they get married. You do counseling after they're married. That's postmarital counseling. And unfortunately, out of 20 of the marriages that I have performed, I've got to be honest and say about 5 of them ended in divorce. I know maybe 2 of them, without thinking and looking at the information, at least to my knowledge, 2 of them ended in divorce within the first year. And so with that being said, I want to be very honest and transparent and let you all know that sometimes what's going on here? Sometimes marriage doesn't end a divorce because you stop loving each other, and I think that's something that's worth mentioning is that marriages do not end simply because the love stops. I know a lot of people that do love each other, and unfortunately, the marriage does not work out because they did not consider a few things. And I'm going to talk about 5 things really quick. So do me a favor, share the video. And if you have any questions during this segment, I want you to put them in the comment box, and I'll do my very best to answer your questions regarding dating or marriage or anything that you may have thought, things you may have heard. I'm going to do my best to address everything on this video. So again, leave your comment in the box, share the video, and let's go to work. So like I said, I've had the privilege of marrying about 20 couples. And through that tenure, I can say about 5 of them are no longer, 5 of those relationships ended. They're no longer married. They ended in divorce or permanent separation. And 2 of those marriages, I have to say, ended within a year. They didn't last. They didn't last a year. And so, with that being said, I wanted to mention that there are some things that you must consider before you say I do. There are some things you have to discuss with your significant other. There are some things you must talk about with your significant other in regards to dating that, might not be the most popular conversation to have, but again, it is necessary. And so one of the things that I talk to my couples about in regards to marriage. Sorry. What did I do? Oh, there we go. A lot of the things that I talk about in regards to marriage, one of the things that we talk about is motive. What is your motive for wanting to marry this individual? What is the motive to get married? What is it about this individual man, woman, that you only can gain by marrying them that you cannot gain by being their boyfriend or their girlfriend? What is the motive behind wanting to get married? And believe it or not, majority of the people that I marry, they don't come from a deep religious faith. They don't get married because it's the godly thing to do, or they don't get married because they don't want to live. They don't want to have children out of wedlock, or they don't want to get married because they don't want to shack up. And I promote godly living. I promote godly marriages, but majority of the people that I marry, they have no idea about those principles, and so that is not their motive for getting married. So, what is your reason for wanting to get married? And to be honest, you should not make a lifelong commitment of marriage based off of sex and beauty. And what I mean by that is, if you make a permanent decision like marriage based on the fact that that individual is sexually active, you all have a great sexual chemistry, or you enjoy the sexual activities that you and your partner engage in, that maybe they've took you to a place that you've never been before sexually, or vice versa, and you enjoy the sexual charisma that is in that relationship, that is not a reason to get married. Or if you just say, oh, I just want to marry her because she's beautiful, or I got to marry him because he's so handsome, and I want them off the market. I don't want anybody else to have access to this individual. The Bible talks about beauty that fades. It says that beauty fades. In other words, the beauty that you see in the individual today, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, may not be the same beauty. In other words, now beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what you may say is beautiful may not be my definition of beautiful, or vice versa, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so if that person is beautiful because they're 120 pounds, and then 10 years down the line they gain weight and now they're 200 pounds or 150 pounds, are they considered still beautiful to you? And if you would say, I can't see myself dating a fat person or a big person or a surplus person, does that beauty in your mind change because they no longer fit the description of beauty to you? Do you still have the same motive for wanting to get married? So motive is important. What can you gain with them being your spouse that you could not gain with them being your partner or your fiance or your boyfriend or your girlfriend? And so motive is important. And so for the man out there, or the woman out there that's considering getting married, you have to first ask yourself, one, what is my motive? And number two, you've got to have the difficult conversation at some point or another with your significant other and ask them, what is their motive? Maybe you've never discussed marriage. Maybe you've never talked about getting married. Maybe you never talked about taking it a step further. Maybe you never had a desire to even have that conversation. But eventually, you have to ask yourself, where will this recreational dating get us? Where are we going to eventually take it to the next level? Are we dating to just date? Now, and you got to ask the motive question, because you would be surprised at how many men or women do not want to get married. You will be surprised at how many people fear marriage, or some young women or some young man that fears a marriage because of what they've seen the example of marriage be when they were children, when they were growing up, and maybe their parents had a marriage that ended very bad, and they didn't like how it ended, and so marriage was not in their foresight. They do not want to get married. They loathe it. They do not like it at all. And you're dating someone with the heart and the purpose that you want to take it to the next level, but in their mind, they never want to get married. But you've never had that conversation about motive to the point where you know where they stand. So motive is very important when it comes to dating and when it comes to marriage. So number one, what is your motive? What is their motive? Do you even know the motive of why you're with this person or why they're with you? Do you know the motive of why you are dating? Did you two say, you know what? I've been in a lot of relationships. I've been in a lot of things. I'm not just dating to date anymore. I'm not interested in just being somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend for the rest of my life. I want to honor God in my relationship. I want to, begin to work on a family. I want to, go to the next level in my life, but I want to have that commitment of a husband or a commitment of a wife. Have you talked about motive? If you have not, I would begin everything with the conversation about motive. And so as we talk to the conversation of motive, we got to talk about uniqueness. So number one is motive. Number two is uniqueness. What is the uniqueness that they have and that they offer that you won't find in somebody else? And I say that to say this, that down the line, down the road, you'll get frustrated with that person. You may fall out of love with that person. And if they don't have a uniqueness about them, or you don't have a uniqueness about you, it's going to be easy for you to be distracted in what you see in somebody else, because they have the same thing that your significant other has. And there was never a distinction. There was never a uniqueness about them that makes them specifically right for you. What is the uniqueness that makes that person specifically right for you? What makes that distinction and that uniqueness specifically just for you? And you have to ask yourself that question, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself characterizing your significant other based off of somebody else, or based off other people, or based off a relationship that you desire, or based off of a relationship maybe that your mother or your father has. And so without uniqueness, you will begin comparing them to your last girlfriend, your last boyfriend, your last relationship, your last engagement. Without a uniqueness, you are going to make your next relationship your next victim. You need a uniqueness. You need something that is uniquely just for you. And you have to date someone long enough to find it. You have to feel a person out long enough to find out that uniqueness. Now, I do not believe you have to date somebody for 5, 6, 7 years to find out if that's your husband or your wife. I absolutely don't believe that. I believe you will know almost, I don't want to say immediately, but you will know very quickly if you can see yourself spending the rest of your life with that individual. Now, if you spend majority of your time dating, going out to eat, going to movies, you never spend quality time together. You never take time to go on walks. You never take time to ask questions. You never take time to, get into their head, get into their life, see what their attitude is about. Then you're not learning that person. You must learn the person to ask yourself, is this something I can commit to for the rest of my life? Because fairly enough, we have to be honest that all of us come with baggage. All of us come with some stuff that we are not comfortable with. All of us come with stuff that the other person may not be able to handle, equipped to handle, emotionally stable to handle. And so you've got to ask the honest question, are you going to be committed enough to deal with all of me? They will never know all of you if you don't give them that opportunity to get inside of your heart, get inside of your mind, and vice versa. It's not fair for you to dump your past on a person after you say I do. I was not given the opportunity to digest it, to look at it, to say, you know what, I need to pray about this. I need to think about this. I need to seek wisdom. I need to seek counsel. Is this something I can see myself dealing with? Do you have a child? Do they know you have multiple children? Do they know you were married before? Do they know your mother and your father? You don't have a good relationship with your mother. Do they know you don't have a good relationship with your father? Do they know you don't even know who your father is? These are very important questions that you must ask, because psychology says that a wife will treat her husband. A son will love his wife based on the relationship he had with his mother, something like that, the statistic says. And so if this individual you are dating or entertaining or engaged to has a terrible relationship with their mother, what do you think the relationship with you is going to be? You must ask the difficult questions. It might not be their fault. They may have been raped. They may have been molested. They may have been neglected as a child. Their mother may have died when they were 2 years old, and they may not have had that relationship with their mother. And so you've got to begin to ask those questions. You got to begin to learn them. You've got to begin to really understand who they are, because it would not be fair to you to find that out after you say I do. And so you've got to do your due diligence and yourself a just service by finding these things out, by dating the person the right way. There is a such thing as dating the wrong way. And I talk to all of my couples about this, dating the right way versus dating the wrong way. And so you got to be very honest with yourself and ask yourself the question, are we dating the right way? 3 months down the road, can I honestly say I know you more than I did the first day? Truth is, some of you really don't have no idea who you're dating. To go a step further, some of you have no idea of who you're even engaged to. And I don't want to get on the subject, some of you have no idea who you're even married to. That's because you skipped the courting process. Courting isn't a cute thing you just do to post on Facebook or post on social media and say, oh, I'm in love, or I'm engaged, or, we're together. I finally got my happy ending. I got my Prince Charming. I've got my this. I've got my that. No, the courting process is really a process that you might want to keep on the DL. You might want to keep, under wraps until you really make up your mind. Is this somebody I want to publicly endorse my love life with? Is this somebody I really want to see myself with? You don't put all your business out there, because you have no idea. In the courting process, you may be exposed to some truth that you don't like, or a level of truth they have not revealed to you yet. And so it's very important that you ask the right questions when you are dating. Very important. Very important. I see some of y'all writing comments and saying stuff. I'm gonna try to read them as I'm going. But you got to be very honest with yourself in the courting process. So, bless you, Apostle, so that you can ask the right questions. Are we dating the right way? Are we dating the right way? I want to make sure that we're dating the right way. So we talked about motive. What is your motive for getting married? What can you gain from them being your husband and wife that you cannot gain with them being your boyfriend or girlfriend? Number 2, uniqueness. What is their specific uniqueness about them that makes everybody else off limits, because they have everything you need, plus they have a certain niche? If you have not found their uniqueness, keep courting and keep dating until you find it. Because what's going to happen is you're going to find somebody else that's beautiful, somebody that may be, in your opinion, that may look better, that may be more attractive, that may have more than the other person has physically and financially, but there's something about the one you got that is unique, and nobody else can offer you what they can offer you. Very, very, very important. Very, very, very important. So we talked about motives. We talked about uniqueness. Number 3, goals. I cannot tell you how many times in counseling, the only time we discuss goals is when I bring it up. The only time we talk about goals is when Pastor Jason brings it up. Well, what do you mean as far as goals? What are their financial goals? What are their career goals? What are their goals as far as a family? I remember being in a counseling session when we brought up the, because we have a very detailed curriculum as far as our premarital counseling, and one of them talks about raising a family. What is your goals and desires of raising a family? And when we brought that up, they both answered at the same time. One said, "Oh, I don't want no kids," and the other guy was like, I want 2 or 3 kids." And they looked at each other like, wait a minute. I'm looking at both of them like, y'all never discuss children. Y'all getting ready to commit yourself to each other for the rest of your life, and you never discuss children. You never discuss children. Goals are important to discuss. Now, I'm not telling you the first day, you meet, you go out for dinner, you go watch a movie, or you go take a walk, down at a quiet place, you two just hang out and spend some time on the phone. I'm not telling you to dump your whole life on them day one. You're going to scare them away. They're going to run. They're never going to return your phone call. They're never going to text you back. They're going to ghost you. So don't give them your whole life all in once. Don't scare them away. Don't tell them your goals and everything right away. You want to fill them out little by little. And then the opportunity will come when you get to discuss goals. What is it that you want to do? What are your goals in life? I know you work here. I know you're a manager here. I know you run this company for somebody, but what are your goals? Do you plan on staying here the rest of your life? Do you plan on working up the career chain in this particular field? Do you want to switch careers? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to start a business? These are very important, because if your significant other wants to start a business when you're married, that's a whole different conversation than starting a business when you're by yourself. Because that may mean, y'all don't think it's important. I'll give you an example, and I'm not trying to spend too much time there. But if you're married, and we were married when I worked a full-time job, you worked a full-time job, our income was great. But I come to you when we're married and say, hey, babe, I really want to start this business. I think I'll do good at it. I think it'd be great. I think I'll kill this. I think it'd be good for our future. I think it'll bless us financially. And they say, okay, I'm with you, until you say, well, that requires me to walk away from my job. You got to hold down the fort financially so I can build the business. They need the opportunity to know in advance what your objectives are, what your goals are, so they can say, you know what, I don't mind, doing this myself, but I don't know if I can carry you for a long time, can you give it a year? I'm not into carrying no grown man, no grown woman, you got kids, you got to feed, these are conversations you must have. What are your career goals? What are your financial goals? Are you in debt? Now, I know some of you aren't comfortable the first 2 months, 3 months. You just, met somebody. You just figured them out. You just, learned their parents' names. You may have met the family. You may have not met the family. And you're not comfortable discussing your credit score. You're not comfortable discussing your debt. There will come a time before you say, I do. You must talk about debt. I need to know what I'm getting myself into financially. It wouldn't be right to sneak a baby up on somebody after you get married. You say, I do, you're on your honeymoon. You say, what, babe, I forgot to mention, man, I got 2 kids back home. I got this girl running around saying that her son is mine. I never fought it because, I think he is mine. It wouldn't be fair to drop that information on somebody down the road, as if it won't be fair to be on your honeymoon and say, babe, I meant to tell you, I filed bankrupt, and, they're getting ready to come take stuff I got, the house we in, the car we got. I got to surrender this stuff because, I filed bankrupt. I need to know your financial goals. And I didn't say I care about you being in debt, because that happened before me. I need to know, what is your plan? Do you even have a plan to get out of your debt? Now, here's a secret. If they say, yes, they have a plan, their response should be, this is what I'm already doing to get out of my situation. Not, when we get married, I'm going to do this, because that means they're planning their exit, and they're planning their uprise, and they're planning their fix based off of being with you. I need to know that you've already started working on your demise and your flaws before you got with me. If we never work out, are you still going to better you? If we never work out, are you still going to get out of debt? If we never work out, are you going to still raise your credit score? I need to know your financial goals. You would be surprised at how much you will learn about a person through conversation. You would be surprised at how much you would learn about a person through conversation. So we talked about motives. We talked about goals. We talked about uniqueness. Now, I want y'all to put some questions down here. If I got any questions, I'm going to address questions in about 10 minutes. If you got some questions about dating, about getting married, you got some questions that, you're afraid to ask a man. You got, you got some questions you're afraid to talk about in depth for his marriage. Listen, I can help you out. I can help you out. I may share my transparency at the end of this live, or I may do another one. But let me help you out. You need to discuss goals. What are your financial goals? What are your career goals? What are your goals as far as children? Do you want a large family? When I was young, ever since I was old enough to know better, I always wanted a lot of kids. Everybody that knows Pastor Jason loved the kids. Now, I'm going to be honest, I got 4 children, and God knows I don't even want to goldfish no more. These kids drive me batty. Every now and again, I want another one, but then I'm like, nope. I look at that Jada, be like, nope. She off the hook. But you have to discuss children. Maybe they say, I'm one and done. I want children. Maybe they say, no, I want a large family. And, without getting into the scripture, the husband has the right to desire the wife to yield him what her obligation is. But it would only be fair to have those conversations at first, because if, as a wife, as a woman, if you're not comfortable, maybe you have children before you met him and you say, you know what, I ain't trying to have no more kids, or I can't have children. Come on. You've got to be honest with them and let them know, look, I can't have children. Will that affect them wanting you? I don't care how bad you are. A man wants what he wants. I don't care what you drive, how much money you make. A man wants what he wants. A woman wants what she wants. What if you're a man and you can't have children? And you know it, and you share that with her. Will that change the trajectory of where you two go? Goals. You have to discuss goals. You have to discuss possibilities. You have to discuss realities. I'm not talking about having faith saying, babe, they took my insides out, but I believe God's going to give me a baby. No, let's talk about reality. Because if I can't have the child, then what? Then what? I need to know. I need to know. And you only know by discussing goals. So drop your questions as you're coming in. We're going to do some Q&A in about 5 or 7 minutes. So we talked about motives. We talked about uniqueness. We talked about goals. Now here is the number one. Now this is really in no particular order, but this one right here is the number one thing. My opinion. This is not factual. This is my number one opinion. Let me drink for this. Go Ravens. My number one opinion. When you decide you met a woman or you met a man that you love, that you like extremely, someone that you can see yourself with for the rest of your life, this is what I want you to do. Talk to your friends. Now, I'm not talking about, your friends on Facebook. I'm not talking about your associates, people at work. I'm talking about your best friends, your inner circle, your top 5, your bro, your sis, the one, brother from a different mother, that close friend, your closest friends. Talk to them about how you feel about going to the next level with the individual. More particularly, talk to them if they are single. If they are not dating, especially if they're not married. Talk to them. Now, some of you can say, well, it's none of their business. My business is my business, and I'm married. I'm getting married to them, not them, and I'm dating them. They're not dating them. What is it? What is it? Their business. You're going to lose friends when you commit to relationships. Now, that's a given. It's not a prophetic word. It's not deep impartation. That is a factual piece of information. You're going to lose friendships. Not so much because they're hating on you or they don't want to see you happy. It's because you are no longer available as you were when you were their friend. When you were their friend, you were available to do whatever, say whatever, go wherever, give whatever. When you are in a commitment, your husband, your wife becomes your number one priority. Your friend, depending if you got children, that maybe fall 3 or 4 on the scale. The reason I said talk to your friends is because you want to see their immediate reaction. You want to see their immediate response. Woo! Let me help you. No response is a response. No response is a response. If they don't respond and they just say, that's nice. Oh, him? If that's their response, they are telling you, I can't handle you being married. I can't handle you dating somebody. I can't handle you out of my control. They are telling you, I can't handle this. They'll sabotage your relationship. They'll talk about you. They'll talk about who you're with as if you don't love them. I don't care if it's true or not. You ain't putting your mouth on them. Yeah, they got kids before me. So what? Yeah, he was messing with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. So what? Yeah, his mom was a crackhead. So what? And people think they're doing you justice by bringing you information about who you love as if you don't already know. And if I don't know it, and you call yourself looking out for me, what's your angle? You can tell immediately if somebody's telling you something because they're looking out, or if they're telling you something because they don't like who you're with, or they're telling you something because they have a plan to sabotage who you're with. Talk to your friends. Find out if they're going to be supportive or if they're going to fight you the whole way through. Now, I'm not telling you to talk to your friends to get permission or get approval. You know, some of you may want to pull wisdom off of somebody who you trust and say, hey, I'm thinking about, you know how me and so-and-so's been talking for, a while. I'm thinking about, taking it to the next level. I really like her. We love each other. I think we have a strong connection, man. I think we can make this work. I was thinking about, getting married. What's your thought? And I'm going to tell you right now, if you think it's bad while you're dating, being in friendships, you ain't got no idea what it's like when you're married. Because, when you were single, ready to mingle, you was on the market, nobody wanted you, your little ashy self, nobody wanted to be bothered with you. You could stay out all types of night. You can have whoever calling your phone all types of night. Come on. You can invite anybody over your house. When you are married, you are in a place of compromise to where you say, you know what? I belong to my wife. I belong to my husband. I can't go out with the girls to the club. I can't go. There are places married women just don't belong. I see the questions popping up. I'm going to answer them as we go. So there are places that married men don't belong. Come on. There are there's certain things that change when you get married because there's a respect there. There are boundaries now that may not have been there before I got married, but I am committed to a woman that even if I disagree with the boundaries, I'm setting them because I love them. I'm not a punk. I'm not a chump. I'm not soft. I'm married. I'm committed. I'm in a spiritual agreement, in a contract that I will honor my wife. Come on. Honor doesn't mean you always agree with what they say they don't like. You compromise. You give a little. You take a little. You compromise. You discuss. It's no longer because I said so. And I didn't have this issue when I wasn't married. And when you go through problems, as every married person will, I'm helping y'all out. I'm telling you, I'm helping you. Everybody's going to go through stuff. As long as you're human in flesh, you got breath in your body, you are going to argue with your significant other. Some arguments may be bad. Some may be small. Some may be big. Some may be not so important. You may argue about if ketchup goes in the refrigerator or if ketchup goes in the cupboard. I don't know. Or you may argue about big things. You are going to argue. But here's the trick I want you to understand. And I want you to understand that when you get married, when you get married, you got to be very mindful who you tell your business to. Be very mindful who you trust. Be very mindful who you get advice and wisdom from. Because number one, married people have no business seeking advice from single people. It's not that they don't have experience. It's not that they're dumb. It's not like they can't help you. But you want advice from somebody that's committed. The number one difference is when you talk to somebody that's not married, the first thing they say is, well, I will leave them. I will leave them alone. You can do bad by yourself. You don't need them. You need somebody that understands commitment and understands you can't just walk away because you don't have in your way. You can't walk away because you're having a bad day. You can't walk away because you're in a bad season. You can't walk away because they cheated. You need somebody that understands commitment and is willing to help you fight it, help you get through it, and help you weather the storm. You need somebody that understands commitment. Talk to your friends. What is their response? No response is still a response. Now, then you'll get those friends that's happy for you. That's like, oh, I knew it. I think you're making a great choice. Be careful. If he hurts you, he's going to have to see both of us. But you know what? I'm happy for you. And they will rejoice with you. They will celebrate with you. But I'll be honest, do not expect that reaction from everybody. Expect the unexpected. Even family. Don't expect family to love your significant other or accept your significant other like you. Now, let's talk about that before I get to my fifth point, and I'm going to take some questions. If you got questions as you're coming on, write them down. We're talking about marriage, the do's and the don'ts before you say I do. We talked about motives. What's your motive for getting married? What will you gain from them being your husband and wife versus being your boyfriend or girlfriend? Number two, we talked about goals. What are their financial goals? What are their career goals? What are their family goals? We talked about a uniqueness. What do they have that you won't find in another man or another woman that you meet in Walmart? What is their uniqueness that makes you stay and not walk away? Talk about your friends. What is your response? Now, also be careful about telling your business to friends, but more specifically family. And this is why I say this. If you get into an argument with your significant other, somebody you're engaged to, somebody you're married to, and something happens and you tell them, you know what, either he cheated on me or, he lost his job and he ain't had a job in 2 months and I don't know if I can take this. And they're, in their mind, they're like, oh, this no good nigga. This no good dog. This no good person. They done made this person carry the weight of the family by themselves. And they're developing their opinion about your significant other totally based on you. Totally based on what you tell them. Because nobody's going to know your business unless you put it out there. So you don't post everything on Facebook. Hello. You don't post all your business on social media. You don't tell everybody your business. But they will begin to develop an opinion about your significant other based on what you tell them. Now, here's the kicker. You two will eventually make up. You're going to forgive them for messing up. You're going to forgive them for losing their job. You're going to forgive them for that downfall, and you're going to go back loving them, and then you're going to bring your significant other around your family, and they will only remember the negative stuff that you said about them. They're not going to remember the good stuff. They're only going to remember the negative stuff you told. I don't care if it's 5 years removed, 3 years removed. When they see him, they're going to say, oh, that's the one that cheated on her. Oh, that's the one that didn't have a job in 2 years. Oh, that's the one that put his hands on her. And so you got to be careful what you tell people because they're only going to remember what you tell them. And guess what? It's not their fault. It's your fault. You don't invite everybody in your house. You don't invite everybody in your business. You don't invite everybody in your marriage. The scripture tells us, and I'm walking to my next point, the scripture tells us, blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. In other words, you can't take advice from everybody. You can't take counsel and wisdom from everybody. I will never go to my broke family member that lives on somebody else's couch about investing or about starting a business or about financial literacy because they're not in the position they can counsel me or help me. Therefore, I'm not going to go to somebody who's not married, not committed, and ask them about advice about marriage. Because they have not taken that plunge into commitment yet. And so you got to be very careful. Learn them. Learn their family. Everybody's family dynamics are different. Your significant other did not grow up the way you did. And I don't care if y'all met in the same church, synagogue, or mosque. All of you have a family uniqueness, something that is specifically unique to your family personality, your family dynamics. Everybody's family dynamics are different. Learn what is important to them. Learn what is important to their family. What is their family dynamics? Because it will come up at some point. You've got to know. You've got to know. Do they go to mama for everything? Come on, do they run to daddy for everything? Because if you're dating a woman that's such a daddy's girl to the point where she's dependent upon daddy for everything, you're going to eventually run into a power struggle with either being her second daddy or being her husband. You've got to have those conversations. Is he a mama's boy? Does he go to mama about everything? If he gets mad, is he going to leave the house and go stay with mommy for 3 days because he doesn't know how to handle conflict? Is he always going to go to mama because he knows mama's always going to have his back no matter right, wrong, or indifferent? I wish that was my mom. My mom is mostly on my wife's side more than my side. You need to surround yourself with people that's going to tell you right or wrong, no matter how it makes you feel. If you're wrong, you are wrong. Son, daughter, brother, if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. But you got to be very mindful of that. I'm on my last point. You could drop these questions. Last point, number 5. What are their spiritual goals? This is important. What is their relationship with God? Do they even believe in God? Now, I know you met him in church. I know you met him at a conference. You might have met him on Facebook and their profile said, believer of God, or you may have met him in the club and you looked up their social media and they had praying hand emojis, and on Easter they had, Jesus is the reason for the season or whatever. But do you know to the extent of their relationship with God? Now, I'm not asking you to, be judgmental and be their pastor and follow them to church and, ask them, all these crazy stuff, but do they have a relationship with God? Anybody that ever dated me or talked to me or wanted to deal with me, they knew my life was an open book. I love God. Certain things are just non-negotiables. There are certain things in my life because of my conviction to the Lord. There are certain things I just believe that nobody's going to change. And you need to ask yourself, do they even believe in God? Do they have a relationship with God? Do they only go to church on Sundays? Do they want to raise a family in church? You will be surprised at how many people I know that have said, well, I was forced to go to church as a child and I'm not going to make my children go to church. They're going to have a choice. I didn't have a choice as a child. My children ain't got no choice. I raise my family. My family don't raise me. My children don't raise me. I raise them. I tell them what they're going to do until they are in a position to where they can make decisions for themselves. Hello. And you know what happens 9 times out of 10 to those families that give their children a choice? That child gets about 13, 14, 15, 16. Pastor, will you mentor my son? Pastor, do you know any organizations that can mentor young men about 13, 14, 15, to 16? Wow, what's going on? My son's just unruly. My son won't listen. My son doesn't have discipline. I'm not saying the church is going to fix everybody. I'm not saying the church means you're not going to grow up and do stupid stuff. But I'm telling you, the church will instill some disciplines in you that even when you do stupid stuff, and even when you do start losing your mind, you have an inward conviction that wakes you up at some point in your life and says, man, you know better. What are you doing? But because your mama gave you a choice at 5 years old and 6 years old, 7-year-old and 8 years old, you think you got a choice about everything in your life. So do they want to raise their family in church? Do they feel like because they were forced that they don't want to raise their family in church? Is that a conflict with what you believe? This is important. This is important. This is important. What is their relationship with God? Because let me tell you, I don't understand how people get married and don't understand the spiritual side. Marriage is a spiritual covenant before anything else. Before it was a business move, before it was a power move, before it was something that people do to establish themselves in America. Marriage was instituted by God. It was a connection. It was a covenant you made with somebody for the rest of your life. For sickness and poorer. For sickness and in health. Richer and poorer. Good days, bad days. Dark days. Great days. Through it all, I'm agreeing that we are in this thing together, no matter what. It's a spiritual covenant. And so if God's not a part of it, it's not going to last. I'm telling you. In the middle of our premarital counseling, drop those questions because I'm getting ready to go into Q&A. We'll do about 5 or 10 minutes of question and answer. Drop those questions. Any question you can think of, drop them in the comment box. No such thing as a dumb question. Drop the questions. We talk about, so do you guys have a church? Do you have a pastor? Everybody I counsel does not belong to my church. They're not a member of my church. Some of them don't even have a church. They know me. They know I'm a pastor, and so they come to me. But they don't have a church. And I ask them, do you all have a church? Are you spiritually submitted to somebody? It's important because marriage is instituted by God. That means it's a three-legged stool. Think about a three-leg chair. You have the husband, you have the wife, and you have the third leg, which is God. One of those legs not there, the chair will not stand. It will fall. Most of the times you have the husband and wife that come together, but they forget about God. And they wonder why the inevitable happens. They wonder why the marriage fails. They wonder why, we just have bad communication. Or they wonder why, we just want two different things out of life. Or they just wonder why, we're really just not meant for each other. You mean after $30,000 of a wedding and a reception and planning for a wedding, you realize you're not meant for each other? What did you do all this time before this? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? I'm done. So, number one, what is your motive? What can you gain from them being your husband and wife that you can't gain with them being your boyfriend or girlfriend? What is their uniqueness? What do they uniquely have and possess that you can't find in anybody else? What are their goals? Financial goals, career goals, family goals. What is your friend's response? That's number 4. Talk to your friends. What is your friend's response? Number 5, relationship with God. Important. Now, this is a crash course. Now I want to plug this in here. If you want to do premarital counseling and you're not thinking about getting married, do it. Some of you may say, well, we're not getting married. We're not even engaged. Should we do counseling? Yes. If you need help navigating through what to do, what to say, how to find out if this one's my husband or wife, reach out to me. Call me. Email me. Message me. Find a way to get a hold of me. I will help you connect the dots. Preventative maintenance is better than maintenance after the accident. Checking the oil in your car is better than blowing an engine and replacing the engine. I'd rather replace the oil than replace the engine. I'd rather replace the oil, meaning premarital counseling, than to replace the engine, meaning marriage is done. And now I got to go either be miserable the rest of my life or I got to find another person. Postmarital counseling. If you've been married and say, you know what? We don't have a church. You know what? We've never got counseling. We're not even doing bad. We just think we ought to see somebody. Or you know what? My marriage is on the rocks. One day we're up, one day we're down. When we fight, it gets real bad. You need counseling. I'm here for you. I will help you. I've been married going on 4 years. I've been married 4 years. Yeah, I've been married 4 years, going on 5 years. My marriage hasn't been sunny skies all the time, but it hasn't been bad either. I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning, as you will too. And so reach out to me, postmarital, premarital, whatever. I want to help you. So let's get into some of these questions some of y'all got. Let me look at some of these questions. Somebody said, should you get premarital counseling before getting engaged or after? Engagement, you're pretty much putting it out there that we are getting married. It depends on where you are as far as the 5 things that I just mentioned. If you're sure, if you've dated that person long enough and you want to get married, marriage has been a discussion with both of you. You can do it. You can do it after the engagement, because that way the cat's out the bag. They already know you're trying to get married. You don't want to sit them down as your boyfriend and girlfriend and then get embarrassed, or then be like, "Oh, you want to marry me?" and you ruined the surprise. So it really depends on the relationship. But I would say 9 times out of 10, after you get engaged, the first thing you should do is reach out to somebody for premarital counseling. Now, counseling is a series of meetings and conversations. If you just want to have a sit down as boyfriend and girlfriend and trying to get some clarity on some things, that's good too. Somebody else had another question. How do you have an effective argument? Again, if you have questions, drop these questions. Y'all got to go back and watch this video. This is golden. I'm going to go back and watch this myself. How do you have an effective argument? Number one, fights and arguments have rules. You have to argue with the intent to want to understand. I'm not arguing anymore because I just want to be heard and I want to be right and I just want to fight. I don't have that to do anymore. I'm going to argue if I really want to know something that I just can't understand. We're going to talk this out until we get to a mutual understanding of what took place, why it took place, because if you don't discuss it, it will happen again. If I don't know you don't like something, I'm going to do it again. Not purposely. I'm going to not think to avoid it because I didn't know you had a problem with it. So you fight effectively. Number one, you've got to articulate you have a problem with something. One of the worst things you can do is get upset about something the other person did not know, or get upset about something that you never said you had a problem with. If I didn't put gas in the car last week after you filled it up and I ran the gas out and I had an issue with it and didn't bring it up, and now next week we're arguing about the room being dirty, I'm not going to bring up the gas because that's not fair. You only discuss what you have an issue with at that moment. If it wasn't important for you to bring it up 2 weeks ago when you had the issue, don't bring it up now because we're arguing about something else. Because what it does, it turns that argument into just frustration. Oh, now it's going to be an exchange. Well, you did this 3 weeks ago and 2 months ago you did this. Well, last year on vacation you said this and I didn't like it. It's going to be a back and forth, constantly non-ending battle of dislikes and things you don't like that happened or already transpired that you can't go back and change. That's why you have to go back and talk about things when they're fresh and when they first happen. Also, you have to be willing to bring up things that you don't like, no matter how you think they're going to feel. Too many people I've heard say, well, I'm not even going to talk about it because it ain't going to do nothing but start an argument. Wrong perspective. How you argue is important. Timing of arguments is important. Now, if you and her just feuded out about something and she called you a name or she brought up your mama or brought up something about your family you didn't like, you have to be mature enough, old enough, man enough, woman enough to know when to shut your mouth and know when to open it up. Come on. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought as a child, understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things, including childish arguments. Children argue a certain way. Children like to have the last word. Children like to bring up irrelevant stuff. Children like to suck their teeth and roll their head and be all emotional and stuff. Adults talk. They converse. They talk about their feelings. So, with my wife, if we're having a discussion, or probably not even arguing. If we're talking about something and she said something that just was left and I didn't like it, or she brought up something that was sensitive to me, but she may not have thought it was sensitive, I'll wait till later that evening when all the kids are asleep, or I'll wait till the next day. And I'll say, can I talk to you about something? Now, I'm setting the stage. I'm setting the table for a productive discussion. It's not an argument. I'm setting the stage for a productive conversation. You said something yesterday and it just, I don't know if you meant it. I don't know, you probably didn't mean nothing by it, but I just want to let you know it made me feel some type of way because, and you can say anything else when we're arguing, but please don't bring that up. You've got to set the standards. And you know what? You're going to have one or two responses. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. Or you may get the extreme version. Well, da-da-da-da-da. And right then, you have to make the choice. Am I going to respond the way they responded? Or am I going to say, you know what, conversation's over. Whenever you're ready to talk about it, whenever you're ready to be grown, whenever you're ready to have an adult conversation, we'll talk about it. But you have to control the temperature gauge of the conversation. Where does it go? And it's up to you. If you initiated the conversation, the ball's really in your court. If you started it, you have the power and control to end it. I always tell people, I may not like what I hear, but I have the power to control how I have the power to control how it ends. I'm going to control how the conversation ends because I started it. If I have to walk away, we'll talk about it later. Sometimes remaining calm is the best fight you can give in an argument because they know it's not a shouting match. I'm not going to out yell you. You're not going to out yell me. You're going to hear me and you're going to hear what I got to say either now or at a calmer time. But I'm not shouting at you. I'm not yelling at you. You're going to hear what I got to say. We are going to communicate like two married adults. And if that becomes a repetition over and over and over again, they don't argue the right way, they keep yelling and haggling, that can become a problem where you might need to seek help. You might need to seek an intervention. You might need to seek a third person to come in and kind of help express how you feel. Because what happens is people just don't articulate that, how they feel, and they walk away from the marriage. They check out emotionally. They check out mentally, and they innocently lean on somebody else and don't realize they just put all their business out there because they didn't have somebody to talk to because a significant other didn't present themselves as a person to talk to because all they want to do is fight, fly off the handle. At some point, you got to grow up. You got to be able to have conversations that sometimes hurt your feelings and don't always yield in your favor. Communication is a huge factor in a healthy relationship. Absolutely. You got to communicate. Because guess what? And I'm gonna give you this free point. Again, if you got any questions, put them in the comment box. I'll answer your questions. If there's no questions after my point, I'm going to just end the video. But if you have any questions, put them in the box now and we'll discuss them. But one thing you got to understand is when I got married at, oh God, I hate when I do this. I always get this wrong. I think like 26 or 25, one of those ages. Long story short, I'm 30, turning 31 in August. I'm not the same husband I was when I first got married. I was inexperienced. I was young. I didn't have as many children as we have now. I didn't have as much business as I had then. A lot of things about my life changed. A lot of things about my wife's life changed. We are constantly changing as individuals. That means you have to constantly learn your significant other. They are not the same person, and you cannot hold them to be the same person they were when you met them or when you married them. They are not the same person. The Jason you're looking for, that was 25-year-old Jason, he's no longer here, and he won't be back. I'm not the same person. And you can't hold me to what I thought about when I was 25 and what I said when I was 25. A lot of things change with people, and you have to constantly learn them or you will hold them to who they used to be. I'm trying to help y'all. I wish y'all would hit this like button or share button. I'm trying to help y'all. Any more questions? Going once. Going twice. Sold. Cool. I appreciate y'all jumping on with me. If you're thinking about dating, you are dating, you're thinking about marriage, you're thinking about going the next step, you're thinking about having that conversation. Let's talk. We can have a consult. Hey, I've been doing Zoom since March 16th, and I've been doing Zoom meetings and conference video chats. So, hey, we can chat with your significant other. We can talk about things. We can level the playing field, no biased opinion, no mama, no dad. We can just get to the nitty gritty. If it's important to you, it's important to me. So, let's discuss. If you're ready to take the next step, all that dating and stuff, it gets old after a while. You're going to have to eventually grow up and do something about if you love somebody. So, again, if you like the video, share it, comment, subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed already. Hit the like button. Share this video for me. Do me that favor and share this video so that somebody else can be blessed with the knowledge and the information that you received. Until next time, take care. I love you all. God bless.